Hey, everybody, it's time to start taxes. We got to start talking about taxes. There's so much important information out there on taxes when it comes to you and your portfolio, especially as you're heading towards retirement or in retirement. So I'm going to make a whole bunch of little videos and I'm labeling them with taxes, and we're going to try to break these down in a whole bunch of useful, tiny little topics. So we're going to start with the tax rates and why taxation is essentially changing every year. So you need to pay attention to that and how it affects you in your situation. I'm going to start with just showing the income tax rates. 2023, the tax returns you're about to file, we're looking at those and saying, okay, well, here's how much taxes you owe. Okay. So when we look at this scenario here, you have a zero tax bracket. And you're going to look it up and you're going to say, wait, there's no zero tax bracket. And there is. It's your standard deduction. Okay. Without proving anything, without itemizing deductions, you have a zero tax bracket. The first 13,000 of income for a single person, 27,000 for a married couple, is zero taxation. That's your standard deduction. So you take your raw income, however much it was, you subtract that standard deduction, and then you come up with your taxable income. Okay. So why do things change all the time? Well, here's the thing. I want you to see 2023 tax rates. You got 0, you got 10, 12, 22, 24, 32, 35, 37. That's our tax rates this year for 2023. For a single person, the standard deduction was 13,000. Then from 13 to 24, you pay 10%. Then from 24 to 58, you pay 12%. It's a progressive tax rate. Just because you had 58,000 worth of income doesn't mean all of your money got taxed at 12. No, the first 13 was 0. The 13 to 24, which is about $11,000 there, you pay 10%. Then from there to there, you pay 12, then you're paying 22, then you're paying 24, then you're paying 32, so forth and so on. So if this year you are single and you made $60,000, then you had a little bit of money you had to pay 22. The rest of it was taxed at 12 and 10% and 0. Okay. So each year as your income changes, you're going to move up and down these tax brackets. Hence, you have changes. But here's the thing. 2024's tax brackets are out. 2024 looks like this. Now, to give you a second to take a look at that and kind of compare and contrast, and you start realizing, holy cow, wait a second. The whole world has shifted a little bit. Instead of a single person only having $13,000 deduction, you got 16. 27 turned into 32. That's a big jump. But not only that, then it's 16 to 28. Well, that bracket jumped. And then this one's 63 and that jumped. Now a married couple can have $126,000 of income before they have to pay 22%. So these brackets keep jumping on us as well. So the tax rates, the percentages you're going to pay are the same, but the buckets are bigger. The amount that you get taxed at lower tax rates is more. So that's a great thing. And that's why tax planning is always going to be 1 year at a time. You can't project into the future how much and when you're going to do Roth conversions or any of that stuff. We have to take it 1 year at a time. Now we can project out and we can use the growth in the tax brackets and all those wonderful things, and we can project it out and say, well, maybe we can predict what 2026 is. But here's the problem. 2026, we have some big changes coming. Okay. Couple of things are going to change. First of all, you see the tax rates here. So you're going to have, instead of 12, you have 15. Instead of 22, you're going to have 25. 24 becomes 28. 32 becomes 33. 35 stays the same. 37 becomes 39. Look, here's the thing. That's already set in stone. I said stone. Well, they could change the stone. They could scratch it out and write in new rules. So maybe our fearless leaders can come together and do some form of a tax reform that changes this. We don't know. But the reality is if nobody does anything, which sometimes I prefer, then we will end up with this slightly higher taxation. Now, notice For most people, okay, what we consider low-income families and retirees, most people, the change is not going to affect you that much. Yes, 12 goes to 15, 3% more taxation, but these buckets got much bigger as well, compensating for that quite a bit, okay? The other thing that is not reflective on here is the standard deduction is not going to be this big, huge standard deduction. And I think this is really what they're going to try to clean up, because I think we might have realized it's so much easier to have the big standard deduction and less itemized. Okay, for most people, that is a convenience. It's much easier to file taxation. And we have, the IRS rolling out their own file your tax system, our own program out there, so you can file directly with the IRS. So there's a lot of things going on that lead me to believe they might keep that big standard deduction. But if they don't, we're going to go back to exemptions, a smaller standard deduction, more itemized deductions, all of those things. So we do have to know in 2026, things are going to change. The tax rates are going to change. The buckets are going to get bigger each year, but we also have to worry about that standard deduction. Okay, so how do we use this information? Well, year to year, you always have to look at your scenario. And year to year, I want you to assess how much income you have. So always kind of November-ish is a good time to look at this. In November, you can look at what you've done throughout the year and figure out where in these tax brackets that you are. So I'm going to draw a line. And I'm going to make this really simple. Can make it a little more difficult, but I'm going to leave it at simple for right now. Really simple. Anything for a married couple in 2024, 126,000 or less. For a single person, 63,000 or less. Anybody in the 12% or 10% tax bracket, or certainly the 0% tax bracket, should choose to pay taxes. What do you mean choose? What do you mean choose? Well, when I say choose to pay, if you're still in your working years, that means put the money into Roth. Make your savings contributions into Roth, not the pre-tax IRA 401k world. Do it in Roth. In Roth, you choose to pay taxes up front. It goes into this special account that's labeled Roth, and you never have to pay taxes again. So you chose to pay the lower amount of taxes. Okay? And then you never have to pay them again. That's great. That's a huge advantage. If you're retired, the way you choose to pay taxes is you take money out of your IRA and you put it into your Roth. You choose to take the money out of that IRA, pay taxes on it, because you're only paying the 10 and 12% tax brackets. Now be careful, don't go over these dollar amounts. Don't go over the top of that 12% tax bracket. So if you're a married couple with 100,000 worth of income in 2024, then take $26,000 from your IRA and put it into your Roth. It's called a Roth conversion. You're choosing to pay 12% taxes, certainly before it goes to 15, or you get pushed into much higher taxation. Okay? Now, the other side of this line, and sometimes I put another line between 24 and 32, because those are the two big jumps. 12 to 22 is 10% difference in taxation. 24 to 32 is 8% difference in taxation. So we need to know these numbers. The gray area, some people want to defer, some people want to pay if you're in the 20% tax brackets, 22, 24, okay? Certainly, everybody in the 30% tax brackets should be focused on deferring taxation. This is how we, in the grand scheme of things, we try to be as efficient as we can with our situation. And you might spend 20 years of your life in the higher tax brackets, knowing that somewhere along the line later in your life, you're going to be in these lower tax brackets. So defer to those lower years. So if you were in your working years paying the higher tax brackets, and now you find yourself in the lower tax brackets, choose to pay taxes on that money you deferred when you were in the higher taxes. Okay? That's the advantage of IRAs. That's the advantage of pre-tax savings, 401ks. That's the advantage of it. You only put it in there. You only defer taxation because you're in higher taxation right now with the hopes of being in lower taxation later. I hope that helps. Tax brackets change every year. Taxation, we need to count on it changing. You can't plan 25, 26, 27, 28. You can't even plan 2024 right now. Wait till November-ish. Take a look at your paycheck. Take a look at what you've made throughout the year. Take a look at your Social Security. Take a look at all the money you've made that's taxable income in November. And then look at one of these charts and start deciding, should I be putting into IRA pre-tax or should I be putting into Roth after tax? That's how we utilize these tax brackets to our advantage, and the tax classes, the IRAs, the 401ks, the Roth, all that stuff. This should help make sense of that. I hope that helps. I am doing a full tax class this whole month. You can find it on fpfeaz.org. We always have the recording of the month on there. So it's a good hour and a half long full class. You can watch it on demand, or you can find the full schedule of live classes as well. And at the end of the month, I always do a Q&A. So I jump on Zoom and say, hey, anybody got questions about taxes and your portfolio and all that kind of stuff. And so that's a great resource for everybody. fpfeaz.org is the nonprofit's website where we keep the schedule and a recording of that full class. And certainly, if you want to meet with me for any reason whatsoever, happy to meet hourly or look at whatever it is that you need. We offer the 30-minute free meet and greet on here as well. So yourinvestmentcounselor.com. Always happy to jump in and help out in any scenario for anything that you need. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. Keep an eye out. I'm going to keep putting a whole bunch of these little tax videos out there because I know you can only take taxes in a tiny chunk at a time. So I try to make it as useful as possible. Have a great one. Thanks. See you soon.